launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Friday, March 11th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. The Boston Pro is this weekend, and on paper, this lineup is completely stacked across the board, which makes this feel like the perfect time for a preview of the action. We're starting with the Men's Open, where the big storyline is round 2 for William BONAC and Steve KUCLO, who just placed second and third at the Arnold last weekend. For William, this is big because it essentially gives him an opportunity to wash away the sting of last weekend's runner-up finish, which he was clearly very upset about after the show. And for Steve, if he can manage to leapfrog William and bring home the win, it could arguably be the biggest win of his career, and it would really set the tone for the rest of the season for him. So, though this might not be the Arnold or the Olympia, there's still a lot at stake here, and it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. We've got some breaking news coming your way from the Classic Physique division, where it looks like Urs Kalasinski will be replacing Breon Ansley in the lineup this weekend. Now, because Urs finished ahead of Breon at the Arnold, and Terrence and Ramon are both sitting this one out, it makes Urs the highest ranked athlete in the lineup, which would I assume would probably make him the pre-show favorite in most people's eyes. He's finished 4th and 3rd in his last 2 shows, and at this point, the only athlete ahead of him is Chris, Terrence, and Ramon. So if he can win this show and do it in a way that leaves no doubt in anyone's mind about his greatness, it'll make those 2, 3, and 4 spots at this year's Olympia a lot more interesting. If you're a fan of wellness, and at this point, I don't know anyone who isn't, then you should be looking forward to the showdown between Angela Borges and Urishna Ayala that we're going to see this weekend in Boston. Angela now has back-to-back second-place finishes at the Olympia and the Arnold Classic, which makes her, well, the most decorated athlete in the division not to have a major title. So I'm sure she'd love to get another win under her belt here. But on the flip side, this show might actually be even bigger for Urishna because she wasn't at her best last weekend. And being able to get a win over an athlete like Angela would be huge in terms of reestablishing herself as a serious top 3 title contender. But here's the thing. I also wouldn't completely rule out Julia Chitara here because she finished 4th last weekend. And if she makes a few small adjustments, she could easily end up walking away with the win. Here's the million-dollar question in men's physique. Can Aaron Banks continue his hot streak? He came into the Arnold riding a huge wave of momentum following his runner-up finish at the Olympia. And he absolutely lived up to the hype because he went out there and looked dominant from the minute he stepped on that stage. Now, up to this point in his career, we haven't seen him do it back-to-back weekends, which isn't uncommon for a second-year athlete. But this is uncharted territory, so we still don't know if he has that stamina to peak back-to-back weekends yet. Also, Diogo Montenegro will be in this lineup too, and he brought in the best look of his career last weekend at the Arnold. So I wouldn't put it past him to potentially do that again here. But if Banks can pull off the back-to-back, I think it clearly establishes him as the #1 title contender and maybe even as a future Mr. Olympia of the division. So there's a lot to learn from the outcome of this weekend if you're a men's physique fan. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.